Hello, today we're going to talk about planets and when they go in retrograde and what that means. Specifically, I'll use Mercury as an example because at the making of this video, Mercury is going retrograde, and that is the planet that's the most talked about because it does mess with our communication and technology and delays our travel and things like that. So things that we notice a lot more than maybe other planets, but they're still impacting us. So that's what I'll cover today. And just to reiterate what it means when a planet goes retrograde, it just means that from the Earth's perspective, it looks like the planet is going backwards. So since the planets have such an impact on us and on our personal charts, then when they are going backwards, it is also inviting us to slow down and turn inward in whatever area that planet governs. So Mercury being the planet of communication and how you process information, it's inviting you to look within instead of starting new things. Any planet that's going retrograde is not really encouraged to start new things, new ventures, new projects, new relationships, things like that. Although, like I've said in all my videos, you have free will and you can do whatever you want. It's not gonna say, it doesn't mean that there's gonna be anything bad that happens with that. It's just a period of time where we want to look inward and slow down to revisit things, kind of do an inventory of your life in that area. So every planet, when it goes retrograde, it has a high and a low side, like everything else we've talked about. And Mercury, even though it can mess with your communication and there could be misunderstandings, but you can also have, just like you might have people in your past that you don't want to come back into your life, and they usually do during this period of time. But it also, if there's somebody that you want to reconnect with, it's a good time to do it during Mercury retrograde and get those lessons. Everything that happens to us is a lesson in some kind of way. So invite that lesson in. It's the other planets that go retrograde, for example, like Saturn. Saturn is a planet of the taskmaster, working hard, completing your tasks and your purpose and things like that. So when that one goes retrograde, then it's going to invite you to revisit the projects that you started and maybe forgot about or added to your to-do list to do later. And it's a time to check out if it still deserves to be in your to-do list, if there's something that, needs to be re-invited in and actually completed. And the whole point of this is that when the planet goes direct again, meaning it's no longer in retrograde and it appears to be going back in regular speed, then we have more momentum to continue on our path. Now, similar to the last video I did last week about relationships and pairing both charts to see how you interact with a certain person, you can do the same thing. This is called a transit chart. And you would compare your natal chart, your personal chart, the moment, the placement of the planets and everything, the moment you were born, with the current planets' placements. So you would have those two charts mapped on top of each other, and then you could see where Mercury or whatever planet is going retrograde is highlighting in your specific chart. Everybody's is different. That's why you may notice that it impacts you differently, whenever Mercury goes retrograde, because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but this one tends to happen about 3 times a year and lasts about 3 weeks. So I personally noticed that when Mercury is highlighting certain areas of my life, which would be the houses in your chart, those are different fields of experience, then I react to it differently, and then I could prepare or use that to my advantage and do more self-exploration. Or if it's highlighting my 5th house or highlighting my 7th house, kind of revisit past relationships. If it's highlighting my 10th house, revisit my how I communicate at work and things like that. So right now it's currently highlighting my 1st house, which is the house of your personal identity, your physical body, how you present yourself to the world. And I'm finding that it's highlighting that the way that I am communicating my mission through this page, through these videos. So it is really bringing a lot of things forward and helping me kind of declutter certain things mentally and kind of find a more clearer path. So you can use this to your benefit, and you might be asking like, well, how do I get that? How do I figure out where it's highlighting in your chart? And I can tell you, I created a video, a really simple how-to video where I share my screen and show you how to plot using a free website, how to plot your chart, and how to see what's going on in the planets around you so that you can see what Mercury is highlighting and how you can see what planets are going retrograde. Because when I made this video, it was also Mercury retrograde. And I do a quick little review of what each house represents. So if you want to check that out, it's in my community site, thedreamingyogi.org/community. And then, yeah, you'll see it. I'll guide you where it is. I'll tag you in it. You can see all the other videos that we have, and you can see where Mercury is highlighting for you. And then once you know that, then you can use certain tools, because sometimes, you know, we may feel like we're thriving during Mercury retrograde and, you know, the right people are coming back into our lives, we're communicating properly and all the fun stuff. It's just, you know, a perfect mesh, because we also need to see what the other planets are doing. And I'll talk a little bit more about that next week, how to see kind of the current influences to your personal chart. But you can use that. Like right now, you know, sometimes I do feel a little like a lot of information is coming my way during this period of time. And that's when I use my tools. Like I've been using Balance and the new one, Black Spruce essential oil, to kind of really ground myself. And I just love how they smell. So I can ease those overwhelming thoughts. And, you know, especially during Mercury retrograde, when there's communication issues, I'm always using my peppermint oils and minty oils to help clear up the throat chakra, and blue calcite, which is a crystal, to help ease in what I'm trying to say. So if you want to check out how to plot your chart and how to very simply see what planets are going retrograde and in what area they're highlighting, then I invite you to check out my community site, thedreamingyogi.org/community. And I will leave links everywhere so you could just go and click. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Share this video out if you found it useful, and leave a comment below if there's anything more specific about astrology that you would like to learn about. I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.